Everyone, welcome to a brand new episode of the Outlier Podcast. Today we've got Paroma with us. Hi, Paroma. How are you doing?
Hello, Anurag. Good to be here.
Absolute pleasure. She's dialing in from Bangalore, a city that I love the most. It's amazing. So, firstly, Paroma, thank you for taking your time out to chat with us today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. And yeah, thanks for making the time zones work.
Oh yeah, that's always there. So, who's Paroma? Paroma is the CEO of Revolut India, right? One of the global brands that I admire, right? It was just a fluke. I reached out to her, Paroma, that Paroma, do you want to be a part of the podcast? I never expected that she'd respond, right? But again, she was kind enough to respond and be on the podcast. But yeah, we had to work on our calendars. I think it took 3 months for us to get her on the podcast. But again, I know she's crazy busy launching and growing Revolut back in India. So firstly, we are really proud of what you're doing back in India, and also grateful that you're spending this hour with us. Thank you again. Quick introduction again. Obviously, she does not need an introduction, guys. But still, as I do my customary, I'll try to sum up Poroma's journey maybe in 30 seconds. I'll do a horrible job, but still, customary that I follow, right? So she's the CEO of Revolut India. She spent almost more than 2 decades back in financial services, right? Back in the Indian ecosystem, one of the very interesting fintech ecosystem in the world right now, really, really fast growing. Let's summarize maybe in 30 seconds her background. So she was the one who started the first co-branded, she's launched co-branded credit cards for the largest Indian private sector bank. Right? That's huge. Followed by she launched a cards business for one of the largest banks, Kotak. Followed by that, the first mobile wallet for Airtel. Uh, then she changed her track, moved to Flipkart, running the marketplace business for Flipkart, and finally running a fintech back in India called LendingKart. So that's pretty much her journey. Has been running successful businesses, building from scratch, scaling it, and now finally she's been given the responsibility of growing, and making Revolut a success story or journey back there in India. So I hope, Param, I did like half a cent justice to your introduction. In case I haven't, feel free to add on.
No, Anurag, you've done an amazing job of encapsulating that in 30 seconds. Yeah, my trajectory pre-Revolut pretty much mirrors Revolut's philosophy of learn fast, grow faster. So
That's pretty much what you've done.
yeah, I mean, the first decade spending in the banking ecosystem has given a sound grounding of how the entire banking regulations, particularly in payments, works in India. And having been associated with launching some of the market first innovations has given that streak of wanting to launch things differently and change how consumers pay. And then being associated with the entire fintech boom in India over the last decade with launching mobile wallets and now bringing one of the leading global fintechs into India, I think is a very satisfying journey that I'm on.
Yeah, satisfying, exciting. It's amazing, right? Let's start the show with like the first question. So you've taken the role of a CEO at Travel India. Firstly, congratulations for that. That's a huge achievement. So what is your story behind the journey? I mean, I tried encapsulating in 30 seconds, but 30 seconds is not enough encapsulating a 22-year-old journey. So what has been your journey so far? Do you want to touch upon that?
I mean, we spoke about it briefly, but I think, like I said, being with the leading private sector bank in India and getting an opportunity to launch a novelty in India like co-branded cards and scaling that up. So this was early 2000s when, by India scale, the entire bank had all of 10,000 credit cards in the market and to launch a co-brand. And by the time I exited the bank, we had 200,000 cards. So that was like launching products and growing massive scale within an organization and learning the stripes of what does it take to build such a business early on in my career. And that gave me the confidence to move to the second stint that you spoke about, to actually join another private sector bank to help launch their entire cards business, which encapsulated credit cards, debit cards, innovative prepaid cards, where we launched Forex travel cards and gift cards and various other variants within the Indian ecosystem. So having done all of that, then came the landmark moment or a watershed moment of 2010, when a telecom company was looking at how the mobile phone in India can be used to make payments. And India, in a way, leapfrogged from actually a cash economy, when it came to making payments, to a sort of card economy, and then straight onto a mobile economy.
Yeah.
Because at that time, there were about 200 million mobile phones already in circulation in the market, right? Against a
Yeah.
backdrop of some 2 million cards. And to visualize how we can use the 200 million mobile phones to make payments. And yes, I therefore cut over from the banking side to the mobile wallet side,
Yeah.
was associated with getting the first mobile wallet license in India from the regulator, launching the first mobile wallet, which today has become a reality, with apparently 500 million people in India today using mobile as their default mode of making payments.
That's been fantastic.
Yeah,
So you've
and
been always on the center stage of innovation, Paroma. Yeah, go ahead, please. Sorry.
that's where I love to be. Yes, Anurag. So, having done that as well, it gave me the exposure to an entire retail network of 1 million retailers who were actually putting this mobile wallet into the phones of people who are coming to recharge their phones physically from these outlets. And that's what led to the e-commerce journey. Because when e-commerce was budding in India, at that particular time, you needed retailers to be convinced to adopt a digital way of selling their goods as opposed to the physical way of selling their goods, which they were used to historically. And that's
Yeah.
the mandate that I took on to join the e-commerce company to run their marketplace business. But true to form, my core instincts are to look at the financial needs of the people that I service. And we had 200,000 sellers on the platform. We realized that the one missing link was working capital financing for them. It's much easier for a salaried employee to get a loan against their salary slips, which are way more predictable, than
Yeah.
for a business, particularly a small to medium
Obviously.
enterprise, to get access to working capital. That's what led to my next move to join to run the digital lending startup, LendingKart, which was focused on making working capital loans available to SMEs. Now, having done this entire experience of payments to an e-commerce platform to lending, I think when Revolut was looking to launch in India, it became an area of interest to go and see if I could helm this and help bring one of the most innovative fintechs globally into this exciting and thriving landscape of India. That was the journey which brought me here.
That's not only fascinating, it's amazing. You've always been mission driven, right? That's the reason I think we are having this conversation, because I mean, even I'm not that guy who will be just running things because of the fact it's running. It's always mission, right? Why am I doing it and what's next? How will it impact the end consumers? How will it impact the economy? How will it impact the ecosystem? That's what you've been doing for years. But yeah, I mean, it's amazing what you've achieved in 22 years. I don't think people can achieve in 200 years for sure. It's amazing. And I'm really, really proud of what you've done, for the lack of better
Thanks a lot,
words. It's
Anurag.
amazing.
You're too kind.
I'm not kind. It's real, right? Don't be modest now. You shouldn't be modest. uh, Looking over the next phase, right? So how do you balance Revolut's global DNA? You're a global firm based in UK, with the nuances of Indian market, because both are very different, right? And the balance is also very different to make this work. So how do you balance it?
There are actually three dimensions in which I think about it. The first
Okay.
dimension is around talent. And I think the one thing that I've realized while trying to bring a global company into the Indian ecosystem is that talent density trumps the size. The sheer talent availability in the ecosystem in India has taken Revolut by surprise, where today close to 40% of Revolut's global workforce is actually based out of India. And the learning that I've managed to bring in from Revolut's global DNA into India is that a lean, high-performing team can outperform bloated hierarchies. So Revolut is present in 48 countries with and running a bank in 22 countries with 10,000 people globally, out of which close to 4,000 are here in India. Superimpose that on, let's take a Paytm, which has listed, and therefore this information is public, has
Yeah.
30,000 people only for India. So these are the two things. I think it's a cross-border communication of the sheer quality of talent from India
Yeah.
and the concept of lean, high-performing teams from the global DNA being wedded together to create a uniquely winning A team in India. That's on the talent aspect. The second aspect, I think, is how we look at regulations. I look at regulation as a feature, not a bug. So
Yeah.
proactive engagement with policymakers and regulators locally to build trust is something that I started from day one. And that has been a learning from Revolut's foray for the previous 7 years before it decided to enter India, to start off by getting the regulatory sentiment on our side, which sets us up for success going forward. And that's sort of been
Yeah.
the second thing to put forward. And internally, vice versa, India probably has the most complex regulations out of the 48 countries that Revolut has forayed into so far. So,
Yeah.
to educate the entire ecosystem within Revolut about the need for such regulations, including a payment ecosystem like a UPI, which is a seamless open banking methodology of making payments that has led to 500 million users today. Educating the Revolut ecosystem about these kind of solutions that are available in India has been the cross-border synergy across the regulatory and product structuring side. And the last thing that I have learned in this process is that culture eats strategy on any given day. Um, Interestingly, I had to set up Revolut's India arm of operations bang in the middle of the COVID lockdowns in year 2021, which therefore necessitated a remote first setup.
Yeah.
And that has scaled well because inherently, because of that, we managed to attract self-starters who thrive in ambiguity, who don't have to be seen in office and somebody watching over their shoulders to do work, who on their own have that urge to get up early, freshen up, log in, and do their work for the entire day from their homes without somebody watching over their shoulders. So that's kind of a unique culture which we've co-created between Revolut globally and us in India, where we founded it in that 2021 ecosystem here in India. And that is what is get gotten into our core values. And the way we operate globally and in India is with 100% integrity and 100% transparency, which is non-negotiable. So Global knows exactly what we're doing at any given point of time over here. And we also try to keep the communication channels open with Global to ensure we're aware of what's going on wherever else, to either be able to learn from it and replicate, or watch out from it and do something differently
Yeah.
so that we don't fall into the same trap. Would be my 2 cents on this.
Interesting. I mean, a three-dimensional answer is very, very interesting. That's great. Uh, Follow-up question, right, about the Indian fintech ecosystem. Now, a lot of us invest, be it in the US or the Europe, all of us are thinking about how about making our next move in the Indian ecosystem. I mean, might be all of us are contemplating because it's so exciting and so hot right now. So my question is, what excites you the most about the fintech ecosystem right now? Because you've been one of the torch bearers, right? I mean, launching the first mobile wallet to, running a lending business, and now running Revolut. So you've seen, like, things where when I was a kid, for the lack of better words, I was in my mid school maybe. So you've seen the entire journey.
You
So what
made me feel
excites you?
old now, Anurag.
Yeah, I just lost you.
Now, I was just commenting on don't make me feel old now by saying that I've seen things when you were a kid. But yes, it's true.
No, I mean, absolutely. I won't make you feel old. I mean, absolutely. I agree to that. You're not. But my question was, what excites you the most right now? Right? It's so fast changing, so fast growing. And India is taken to a different, it's moved to a different next new level that no one could think of 5 years back. So what excites you now?
I find the Indian fintech ecosystem absolutely fascinating, which is why it has been a fertile ground for more than 10,000 homegrown fintechs across various spaces, whether it is payments
Yeah.
or lending or neobanking or broking or insurance, you name it. And there are startups here. As well as it has attracted a lot of global players to come and play in this ecosystem, including
Yep.
Revolut. Specifically, certain things which are exciting me now, I will not speak about the past. We've all seen that come to fruition. I think one area is AI and Gen AI for sure. The way that is shaping up, particularly in the area of transaction monitoring and fraud monitoring, because a lot of interesting new ways of conducting fraud has been invented by hackers and
Sure.
fraudsters. And the way we're using AI, starting from processes like onboarding with using agentic AI to do agentless onboarding, uh, to transaction monitoring and being able to predict the behavior or performance of a customer, to being able to use AI to do fraud monitoring, looking at even social behavior and patterns of a user, to being able to use ChatGPT to write core lending agreements, to using AI to improve efficiency of your own employees. I think the sheer
Yeah.
use of AI across processes, and of course using AI to underwrite better and do more intelligent credit scoring and credit availability for hitherto underserved credit segments, etc. I think that is
Yeah.
an entire space which I find fascinating, and particularly with the gradual entry of interesting new investment assets like crypto, etc. So the use of AI to make that safer and stay ahead of legacy banks, if you will, is something that is absolutely fascinating for me. The second aspect, leave aside AI, that's on the technology front, is the whole genesis that is coming forward on borderless accounts. There are a lot of cross-border synergies that have started right now with
Exactly.
interregulatory meets. Different regulators are coming on the same platform to try and create some kind of a standard. Like when you travel, a passport has been agreed on internationally as a standard document which every country will accept.
Yeah.
What is the payment equivalent of that every country is going to accept in order to establish a financial relation? I think those conversations have started. Unified payment rails. India is making UPI international across certain markets. There's a PIX in South America, which is the payment rails that are over there, which are trying to internationalize. So to bring the different payment rails onto common standards, like an ISO certification equivalent, if you will,
Yeah. Yeah.
over here, to create more borderless transactions seamless, because every country has worked so far to make transactions seamless within their own country, but
Yeah.
with global borders getting blurred and a lot of cross-border transactions happening, with right from students going overseas to study to people like yourself going overseas to work, repatriating money back to their home countries. India is
Yeah.
the largest recipient of inward remittances, with last year alone having seen $120 billion of inward remittances. Mexico seeing $70 million of inward remittances. So there's a lot of cross-border exchange of money going on. Cross-border trade is growing by leaps and bounds, with imports and exports across countries growing. So the borderless accounts to facilitate more seamless cross-border payments is the other area which I think we're all working on, and that is something that I'm personally very keenly associated with. Are possibly the two things that I would say are top of my mind in terms of what I'm looking forward to and associating myself with. Coming specifically to India, certain things which have happened, which are enablers here, is like
Mhm.
the account aggregator ecosystem,
Yeah.
right? Which has been the missing link between data and democratization. The account aggregator framework was launched back in 2021, where today you can actually have data from different payment and financial services platform aggregated on one platform to enable companies to have a unified view of the customer, whether it is across lending, wealth management, personal finance, etc., to do hyper personalization, right? So
Yeah.
those kind of things have, apart from the Aadhaar infrastructure, which is a single biometric identity for 1.5 billion people, those kind of
Huge.
things in India have been the macro technological trends that has made this such a flourishing, thriving ecosystem to develop and deliver products on. And just exporting that is again something that gives me a lot of delight.
I mean, as like you, I'm so proud of what India has achieved in terms of specifically payments, right? I mean, when we talk about Fed now, right now over here, I educate people what is UPI. And believe me, 80% of the people don't even know what UPI is, and they are fascinated that how can this be done for at such a huge scale, right? So India is not about just ideas, but about the scale, right? And it's not easy to, do such a huge revolution at a scale. So absolutely, Paroma. I mean, this is
So
very
on
exciting
even
India's
in
future.
on India and Revolut, right? When me and my team started speaking about UPI internally, it's for the first time that Revolut has built this solution in-house to deliver UPI. And even the folks internally marveled at that and
Wow.
discussing about how it can be leveraged overall for Revolut to Revolut transfers within the
Yep.
48 countries that we operate in. Even
Yep.
the Aadhaar video KYC based onboarding,
Yep.
it has uniquely been built for India. Everywhere else, there is a face recognition based digital onboarding, whereas over here, there's actually a video KYC based verification with a biometric authentication and a liveness check. Now, that is a more robust onboarding. And we're
Yep.
internally having conversations after having built that for India. Is that scalable for other countries where we therefore make our onboarding way more robust and are assured of which customer is coming on board
Yep.
to be
Yep.
able
Yep.
to
I mean,
minimize risk on our customers and the risk with transactions?
it's-
And having said that, Anurag, UPI also is passing right now. The latest is ULI, the
I
unified
know.
lending interface that has
Lending
happened.
it.
So the way what UPI has done for payments, I think that's going to happen for lending as well,
Lending.
with one-click loan disbursals using the unified lending interface. So all that kind of thing is happening over here, and to be able to build that for a global brand and share those learnings for the global brand to pick that up and leverage that in other geographies, again, gives me a lot of delight.
Absolutely. I mean, bringing the best from India and scaling it to the world. That's what
Best
you're
from
doing
India
for.
for the world, best from the world into India is how I look at this.
Interesting. Now, let me talk about go to market a bit because, weird combination. I've been a data scientist who once thought that I'll do it for the rest of my life. Then I thought, no, that doesn't make sense for me because I was not excited. Let's do go to market. I just moved from data science to doing go to market 3 years back. Very weird switch. So my question is again about GTM of Revolut, right? So what's Revolut specific GTM back in India? So what do you do?
So, because so the licenses that we've got in India, we've got the authorized dealer category 2 license, which allows
Yep.
Revolut to engage in foreign exchange businesses, foreign exchange currency conversion. And
Yep.
we have got the prepaid payments instrument license, which allows us to offer domestic payment products. Now, we are one of only 2 entities that has both of these licenses. That uniquely positions Revolut in India to become the only non-bank payments platform to
Yep.
offer both domestic and international payments from the
International.
same app. That is at
Interesting.
the heart our GTM. The second thing supporting that, so what essentially is going to happen is when you download the Revolut app, you will get yourself an e-money wallet in which you will store e-money in the home
Yep.
currency, which is in Indian rupees.
Yep.
Along with that, we will bring Revolut's innovative youth wallet, where there's an add-on youth wallet linked, which you can give to your family members and control from the parent wallet. You'll be able to top that up via the regular bank accounts and cards. And in India, uniquely, you'll be able to top that up using UPI as well. And for that in India, because we've got the license, we will have our
Yep.
own @Revolut UPI handle.
Oh,
So
nice. I didn't know
that
that.
is what we will
Nice.
offer in India. So with that, what will we be able to do? So people will be able to do domestic money transfers with UPI.
Yeah.
They'll actually
Yeah.
be able to make seamless UPI payments. It'll
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
also come with Revolut's Power Packed prepaid card. So customers can do UPI money transfers. They can use the card at carded merchants, and they
Yeah.
can use QR code based merchant payments, which is what they're used to on the domestic payment platform. So that's on the domestic payment side. And
Mhm.
along with that, from the same app, they can also do international money transfers
Mhm.
at Revolut's best in class rates, conversion
Mhm.
rates.
Mhm.
And it comes with a multi currency card on which you can load US dollars or euros and travel anywhere in the world and pay like a local,
Mhm.
with the unique functionality of being able to take a physical card or a virtual card if you want to just use it online, as well as single use disposable cards from a security perspective. If you're not sure of, let's say, a website or a particular merchant where
Yeah.
you're disclosing your card detail. So
Mhm.
that's sort of
Mhm.
suite of unique products that's going to come
Mhm.
with the Revolut app. And one of the, again, the first in India is something that's a feature with me now, no longer a bug. There has to be a India that I associate with any launch that I'm associated with. So it'll also have India's first payment subscription plans. So
Okay.
historically, in an Indian market, subscription plans have come with your content providers like Netflix, etc. Or
Yeah.
reward points have come with credit cards. Again,
Right.
India has less than 50 million credit card holders. But a payment subscription plan is not something that the industry has seen commonly. So they are going to see that with our launch, and obviously supported by our very strong budgeting and analytics tool. That's something, again, that we use AI well to be able to guide customers, both the youth and the primary customers, to drive responsible payments behavior through
Mhm.
strong analytics. And of course, they're going to be layered with lifestyle benefits, which we can bring from around the world for
Yeah.
customers in India. So that's what's going to be our GTM. You would have
Yeah.
consciously seen me not talk about marketing because I believe best GTM is having the best product
Yeah.
and then have the best team to deliver that. And that's been Revolut's success in the last 10 years across UK and Europe. If you really launch the best product in the market, customers hopefully will appreciate that. And you will get organic usage as well as strong word of mouth. And that's what I'm counting on, at least initially when we launch.
I mean, that's what successful organizations or products believe in. Uh, you
I mean,
not
there's no
really need to spend a
point
lot on marketing.
buying a
Yeah.
customer unless you really
Mm,
have a strong product that the
exactly.
customer has natural
Exactly.
affinity.
I don't believe in that. I mean, you cannot buy a consumer. It's about how good your product is. How is the product actually solving something that I need?
Yeah.
I mean, otherwise, I mean, in our generation, Gen Z or the lower end of millennial, we don't care about how shiny is your billboard. We really don't care. It's about efficiency. It's about is it solving my purpose or not. That's the most important thing. So, Palma, in the
Yeah, so
interest of
that
time, I
is
know.
there are very real problems that Revolut with this product is actually going to solve for in India. This is a
Yeah.
white space of having one app on which you can do both domestic and international.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right? You have domestic players, so people have to keep one app to do the domestic transactions and a separate app to do forex transactions, or take a separate forex card when they travel overseas. To be able to unify
Yep.
that on one platform is itself a need and therefore a differentiator. Coming specifically to the forex space today, there are a
Yes.
lot of needs in India that need to be debunked, which we will be doing. One is around
Yeah.
sheer affordability. Today,
Yeah.
banks charge between 3 to 5% markups, cross currency markups on transactions,
Yeah.
right? We
That's
will be
ridiculous.
able to debunk that by having a digital only model with which we can actually give affordable rates, which makes forex affordable and democratized for a larger number of Indians, rather than keeping it as the preserve of the wealthy Indians, so to speak, which is what it was with the legacy banks. The second
Yeah.
the aspect of that is time, right? Today, if you make a foreign transaction, it can take anywhere between 2 to 3 to 5 days for the money to reach the intended end beneficiary overseas. To be
Yeah.
able to do that in the same day is something that we're again trying to solve for, and will hopefully differentiate ourselves in the market. And last but not the least is transparency to a different degree, and this is where the e-commerce experience comes in, right? Banks have had a way of operating where they have tried to bring the offline world onto online in the form of an app or a website, but to have a
Yeah.
very digital first thinking, which is what e-commerce platforms have brought in, whether it's a ride hailing app or an e-commerce delivery app or a food delivery app, where you can track where your delivery is at any given point of time. We're opening
Yep.
the hood for people to be able to track their money where it is at any given point of time in the same way. So I think all of these three, in terms of affordability,
Correct.
time, transparency, and of course an end-to-end digitized journey, were need gaps in the industry, which we're trying to debunk with our product over here.
I think what you're doing is very unique. I mean, I personally know the hoops of Forex back in India, right? I mean, I had to literally go around
Yeah.
Bangalore. I mean, I won't name the banks. I mean, like 7 years back, I had to go around almost from, I remember from HSR layout to almost Whitefield to figure out how to get my first Forex card and how to make things work. It was nightmare. If you're solving for it, I mean, if I would have been a president by now, like actually, I'm honestly thinking I should call my mom and dad and tell them before you
Oh,
come here in
absolutely.
October, you
Once
should
we launch, we'd love to have you as friends and family be one of the first people to come onto
to
the
use
wait
it.
list and onboard. So imagine if you look at the life cycle
Absolutely.
journey. Do you know
Yep.
last year alone, India sent 700,000 students overseas to study, right? Their parents have to send them the fees along
Right?
with their
That's
maintenance over there, right?
yep.
Now, what has to be solved for? Then, when the child finishes their education and decides to start working overseas, like you did, right? You would want to, like a true Indian son or daughter, send money back to your parents who brought you up and educated you, right? Now,
Exactly.
making that
Exactly.
easy, right? And then let's say you get married and you have a child, for the grandparents back home to be able to just send a small birthday gift amount that,
Yeah.
here's some money, just buy him something for his birthday. Today, they don't think of doing that because it's such a big
That's
deal to go hunt a bank branch, fill all the documentation, etc. So it is restricted to a few categories. But to be
yeah.
able to make it a way of everyday living is, I think, the ambition which we're trying to go for.
That's huge. I mean, I do fintech for a living. I myself do not know how to do a transaction from India to back here in the US. I myself don't know it.
There
Honestly,
you
but if you're
go. I'm
solving for it,
serious.
it's
Then
solved.
once we launch for public, you're welcome to become one of our first customers, though we already have 300,000 people on the wait list.
I'll be the last one. Absolutely. Paroma, in the interest of time, I know we are almost on the top of the hour. We'll ask you one parting question right now. This is a customary question I ask everyone about the outlier moment. So I define outlier moment as something that has been significant or instrumental in being what you are right now. So what has been that one outlier moment that has shaped the Paroma that I'm seeing right now? If you want to talk about that one moment, that would be great.
If I had to think of that outlier moment where my career path diverged and I took the one which has got me to where I am, I'd
Yeah.
probably take you back to 2010, when I had close to a decade of a fairly rewarding start to my career within the flourishing banking ecosystem in India and payments ecosystem. To make the choice to cut over to a telecom company when
Yeah.
mobile wallet was unheard of, when there were no licenses to even do that business. This is the era of the, as I keep saying, Nokia 3310 handsets, if you know, which tiny screens where you played Snake. It wasn't even the era of smartphone. It was the button phones, which you just used to make calls and receive SMSs. You just got cricket score alerts using a USSD
I
on an
remember.
SMS. To actually make the call to give up a decade long rewarding career in banking and make this move to go and say, hey, let me join the bandwagon, be one of the first movers to try and figure out how we can use this instrument as a means of making payments and today banking, was, I think, uh, the outlier moment, in your word, to make that decision. And that has shaped the entire journey of my career, which I think causally or coincidentally has mirrored India's fintech revolution over the last 15 years as well.
And I think India is, really, grateful to have you leading the charters of so many new things across the decades. So again, Paroma, thank you for taking this moment with us and sharing this an hour with us. We really appreciate and all the best for what you do at Revolut back in India.
Thank you so much, Anurag, and I really appreciate you having me here, talking to me. And yes, once again, making the time zones work and showering me with
Seriously.
such kind comments. I appreciate that.
Sure.